Let's take a little look at if statements. So you remember from stuff we've done in Scratch before, and maybe you've done it in other languages as well, if statements. So logic, this is what we kind of call a general idea of logic, right? If statements that you did, if you've taken geometry already, right? Same type of things that you've done in there with basic logic. So the idea of if this, then I do that, right? Conditional statements is another term we often use for those. So let's say, if I'm tired, right, then I go to sleep. That's your basic idea of a conditional statement. So we're going to start using, as we talk about if statements, we're going to be dealing with Booleans a lot more, right, as our data type, right, to do those sorts of things. So I'm going to create here if demo class, and I'm going to end up using this as the runner as well, just to keep things simple. So the if demo, I'm going to open that up and delete this, and public class if demo. And I'm going to put my main method right within this, because I'm not going to really create too many methods. I might do one towards the end of this. So public static void main string args, like we're used to. Okay, so in here, if we want to do an if statement, right, let's say we make this based on some variables. So let's say, let's kind of do a grade-based system, because you're used to doing a grade-based system, actually. So I'm going to create an int grade, and let's set that equal to some number. I don't know, 90. Right, did pretty well on a test. So we've got this grade of 90, and now let's say I want to print out some different things. So if, and then with Java, I do if, and then I put my condition within parentheses. Right, and then whatever I want to happen is what goes in here. Okay, so this is the to happen part, and then within the parentheses is what I want to trigger something to happen. Okay, so if grade is greater than or equal to 90, right? So we have things like greater than, we have greater than or equal to, which is what I used here. We have less than or equal to. We could just say less than. We also could say not equal to, right? That's the exclamation point. We could say not greater than, right? Various different things. So let's go back to this and say greater than or equal to 90. So if that's true, so this here is true, or in this case it's true, right? Whenever it's not true, this is not going to run. So we say if the grade is greater than or equal to 90, let's do system.out.println and say you got an A. And I'm just keeping it simple and say A range, right? Just to make this simple example. So that's an if statement, right? I could put several if statements. I could say if something else, right? And I can put lots and lots of if statements in front of each other. What you're going to notice if that happens is notice this is completely separate. So it's going to check this, then it's going to check this, then it's going to continue to check every other if statement I write. What we could do is say, let's just do an else. So go back, say else. This means, hey, if the grade's greater than 90, greater than or equal to 90, right, then we do this. Else do this, right? Whatever's here. So system.out.println, you did not get an A. Right? So in this case, it's going to print that. If I change this and say, 80, right? I did not get an A. Okay. Alternatively, we can have, you'll see in the slides, take a look at those. We could say else if. And this ties these things together. So this is adding another if statement within that. So I'm going to say else if grade is greater than or equal to 65. Right? So I know that this will run whenever the grade is not greater than or equal to 90, but is greater than or equal to 65. So I can say system.out.println, you passed, but did not get an A. And then, again, I still have this else statement, right? Else, now I would probably want to change it since I have something based on pass, and I can say, sorry, you have failed. Right, so we can use any combination of these to make our logic work, right, and what we're trying to accomplish with our code, and different, we call these decision-making procedures, right, in ways we can make decisions within our program. So if this happens, right, then we do this. Else if this, right, so we've got lots of different ways we can trigger things. So I'm going to go ahead and compile this, and let's go ahead and run it, right? And we should see we had an 80, so good, you passed, but you did not get an A. Okay, very nice. So let's close that out. And so this is the idea with if statements: is we have lots of different things we can do with them, right? We can, and they're going to really form the foundation for a lot of things we do. The key here is we've got this Boolean, right? So one last thing I'm going to show is another if statement. Let's say I have a Boolean, calling it my bool. Let's say it's true for now. What I can do with an if statement is I can also say if my bool, kind of a shortcut, right? So if my bool would mean that this will run and say my bool is true, all right? And then I also could say an else attached to this and say else, and say my bool is false. So this is saying, hey, check and see if true, right? If true, then we print that output. Else, we say it's false. Okay, so another way we could do it, we can do this with Booleans themselves and storing that data type if we want. Or if I know anything that I know will be true or false can go in this spot. So that'll be useful as we do other things later on. Okay. In the next video, we'll talk a little bit more about nesting if statements and other things that we might be able to do with that. But for now, these are your basic if statements, and you can take a look at the slides to see some more examples of those.